So I want to welcome you all. I'm going to actually start by telling a little bit of story because we find that some folks come on a couple minutes late, and this will bring us up to speed before we get into the actual program. But thanks for being here. Certainly feel free to turn on your cameras. And I say that only because this is about engagement. This is an opportunity for parents to get to know each other a little bit. There'll be time for some Q&A in the end. But certainly if you're not in a place where you want to turn on your camera, you do not have to. But it is always helpful for people to see each other and get to know each other. So, as many of you are aware, my oldest is off to his first month of college. So we've gone through that transition period over the last year and a half of sending him off to college. And it really has been a wonderful experience, but also a really stressful one at times, and a lot of anxiety along the way. And it really has helped me wear my parent hat in thinking about college admissions and higher education and what we do and how to get our students in the best place possible for success so they can flourish rather than falter when they move on to college and university. So one of the off-campus meetings I had last week, midweek last week, Brooke Fink, our director of college counseling, and I attended a meeting at the Harvard Ed School with members, the kind of the senior staff from the National Association of Independent Schools. So Deborah Wilson's their president, and she had some of her other senior staff members. And they're meeting with 10 heads of school and 10 directors of college counseling from Boston area independent schools. And kind of the host of the event was Rick Weisbord. And Rick is he's on the faculty at the Harvard Ed School. He's actually also a member of our board of advisors here at CHCH. Was our commencement speaker a few years back, right after he issued a really interesting report about 8 years ago called Turning the Tide. And in the Turning the Tide report, and ultimately what came out of it was this Making Caring Common network that he's created, which is a national network of schools, high schools, but also college admission offices, thinking about the importance of empathy and kindness, and supporting teenagers in a very healthy, productive way through an incredibly stressful period, which is the college admissions journey into higher ed. And the report got a lot of press at the time that came out. Again, it's Turning the Tide, Rick Weisbord, actually a good friend of Josh's, has played basketball with Josh for many, many years, Josh Bubar here. And that it came out at a really interesting time because it was prior to the global health pandemic, and it was before it, it was almost like the writing is on the wall. He was looking at college admissions and saying it has become this grind, this race, this high performance, high stakes. Everything falls upon this one moment in a young person's life, in an adolescent's life. And he was bringing back these independent school heads and directors of college admissions to come back because he wants to re-engage this conversation with admission offices in higher ed, because right now there is the sense that it's like the Wild West out there. There is intense, incredible unpredictability in the college admissions process. And some of it is because a lot of the quantitative markers and measures that college admissions have used over the years aren't there anymore. So class ranks, certainly SAT, ACT scores that are optional at most schools. Many schools have moved away from AP exams and AP scores as well. So a lot of the measurements are qualitative, right? So trying to figure out what are colleges really looking for. When you look at the acceptance rates and the application rates at the same time, it is very clear that the unpredictable nature of college admissions continues to grow and grow and grow in this post-pandemic time. Certainly, we talked a little bit about the impact of the affirmative action decision last year, and we have found that more and more colleges and universities, actually their student bodies are not as diversified this year as they were in previous years as a result of that action. We're also seeing the data that early decision, oh my Lord, the number of schools that have filled their first year classes with 35, 45, even 50% of their classes through the early decision journey has been outstanding and actually really troubling because it takes away choice, right? It's asking a 17, 18-year-old to figure it out and know exactly where you want to apply and then have that early decision. The dates are now like in October of senior year for that. So I've really been processing this with Brooke and thinking about, what it means for our kids. And certainly we start the process with, the junior year, the essay writing is part of our curriculum. And then there's this great opportunity for seniors to come back early before the start of the school year, to do college boot camp and get their Common Apps done to try to get ahead of the game. Um, but I use the word game, and frankly, in many ways, there is a gamification that's going on with this process, which is really disheartening. We continue to focus on the right fit schools. So, not asking our kids to frame this as, what are the top colleges by some arbitrary ranking that you want to apply to and go to, but more about what are the top schools for you, right? You all chose Chapel Hill Chauncey Hall for a particular reason because you believe the fit was correct. We're also taking that same concept, and that's the framework we're applying to in terms of the college admissions process, thinking about fit. There is a wide range of schools, and if you look at our graduating class from last year, we have 53 seniors last year, and the range is from Duke on one end, and you have a lot of like local schools like Boston and Boston U and Northeastern. You've got Salem State. You just have a wide range of schools, but they actually fit like the neurodiverse profile of our students, the right fit school for the right fit kid. And we're going to continue to maintain that because we actually think that the storytelling, the narrative of their like edu life journey is really important. And more admission offices are leaning on the college essay as being a key indicator about who the student is and what their journey has been. And that's part of the magic that's Brooke Fink. And Lizzie Rosen's going to be working with her this year with the senior class, who's our director of skills and academic strategies, with a few particular kids in order to make sure that our kids are finding that their voice is really being heard through the application process, through not just the essay, but also Brooke's incredible counselor reports that go with that, helping schools understand who our kids are and how they can contribute to communities. So it's a fascinating landscape. We'll come back to it from time to time through the PGA to talk more about it. But I just want to know that it's something that Brooke and I continue to work with because the unpredictability it's nerve-wracking for our kids, and we need to try to let them know that there are well over 2,500 four-year colleges and universities in this country. And I know some of, for instance, Melanie Sherman's on the call. She had a son who graduated here who's going to school in Canada. So then there are all these schools all over the world, right? That are possible great fits for our kids. And we're going to do our best to make sure we find the right matches. All right, I'm going to stop there. Just a little story as people have jumped on the call. Again, my name is Lance Conrad. I'm the head of school here. This is year 19 for me. We have almost my entire senior admin team is on the call as well, and they all are going to take a few minutes in a moment to introduce themselves, their role, their responsibilities, and maybe kind of highlight one particular program or area or thing that they're working on at the moment that they think you would have interest in. This is a joint town hall, which is something we created during the pandemic in order to have more face-to-face updates with the Parent Guardian Association when we knew we could not have events on campus. And we decided to keep it because it really has been a great way 3 times a year to check in with parents. It is also with like a joint Parent Guardian Association meeting. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Stephanie Gordon in a moment, who's going to say a few words on behalf of the PGA. But it is an opportunity for you to learn more about the school, to ask questions. Again, engagement. We're going to tell you about some great events that are coming up that you can certainly attend. We hope you will attend and be as an active member in the community as you possibly can. Now, we understand that for some of you, there are limitations. We've chosen this time of day for the town meeting by design, because whether you're in Latin America, Europe, Africa, East Asia, Southeast Asia, kind of 8:30, 9 a.m. actually is a time that will work for you. It's not the middle of the night, so to speak. So this is a good time where we have actually, hopefully, some parents on the call that might not live in the United States that are that are Zooming in from abroad. And we thank them for their time and joining us as well. All right, with that, I'm going to stop talking. Ask Stephanie Gordon, as the president, or I guess the chair of the PGA, to say a few words, and then we'll go around and do a little popcorn exercise with the senior team members. Stephanie.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Gordon, and along with my co-chair Susan McConaughey, just wanted to say hello. I do want to say I just got a little note on my computer that my internet is unstable, so I had texted Kate that she is gonna just break in if I become frozen. But I want to first introduce just some of the people on the PGA team, and those are our class reps that might be here today. Um, First of all, I just want to say thank you to them. Our class reps basically will be planning sort of grade level activities for the parents. It's a wonderful way to connect with people, the parents who are in your grade, just so that you guys can sort of get to know each other. Sorry, I have dogs. Who will be able to, you'll be able to connect with the parents in your grade, and likely it'll be a dinner or an outing, a hike, whatever it may be. But I really suggest that you guys attend these events. So if you guys just want to wave or say a quick hello, you might pop up on the Zoom screen. In grade 7, we have Jen and Reg Cheatham. So thank you. Yeah, okay, great. I saw you guys on here. Grade 8, we thank Amy Thompson.
Hi.
Grade 9 is Lindsay Fleming. 10th grade is Crystal Yan. In grade 11, we have Roma Jerome and Carrie Noble. And for the 12th grade, it's going to be me and Susan. So I also just wanted to mention that every Tuesday morning, Susan and I and Dave Misha are on campus from 8 to 9, just for PGA drop-in. So, feel free to come by East Hall. We're outside still right now. And, please come stop by, chat, ask questions, whatever the need may be. And this Tuesday, admissions is joining us. So we're really happy that they'll be hanging with us. They're going to be handing out yard signs, as well as donuts and coffee. So an extra bonus. So join us and help us spread the good word about CHCH, especially if your house is situated on like a great road for a yard sign. If you're on a corner in a neighborhood, if you're on like a main road in a neighborhood, even more awesome. But if you think that you're a great person to have a yard sign in your neighborhood or town, please, please, please come and grab one. That would be incredible. That is one of the best ways that we can, sort of grab attention for school and invite people to our open house. So that'll be, again, this Tuesday from 8 to 9. So while you're doing drop off, please come grab one. And I'm sure that if that isn't a good time for you, obviously you can grab a yard sign any other time. We are also going to be hosting some virtual drop-ins. Obviously, some of you guys are in carpool, and like Lance said, we have so many countries represented, and so a lot of you can't be on campus. So that said, starting on Tuesday, October 22nd, we're going to do virtual drop-ins, and we're going to continue that every other week through especially the winter when we don't like to be outside. One of us will either be at home or in East Hall with a computer, and we'll just sit here, and hopefully you will send out a Zoom link. And, if you have questions or just want to come virtually and say hello and join us for a little bit, that would be fantastic and awesome. And we'll be able to update you on which days we'll be on campus and which days we'll be on virtual through the newsletter. Also, I wanted to add that this year's fall gala, you guys should have received information or invitations rather yesterday. And this is going to be on November 1st. It's going to be super fun. We're celebrating mind, body, and school spirit. Um, the we really hope that you'll attend this kind of event is always really well attended by our parents. And it is also super fun, great opportunity to just sort of unwind and hang out with other parents in the CHCH community. And I mean, Susan and I will be there. We hope that you'll join us. It's going to be a great time. I know I'm pretty sure I've been to all three galas since I've been at CHCH, and it's just another great way to connect with other parents in the community. Super fun. November 1st. Just a little bit later, and I'm going to try to, go a little bit faster here, but we have 2 coffee and conversations that we do. And I'm really, really excited about these 2 because our first one's going to be November 19th, and it's going to be a movie that you guys will view, I think beforehand, Kate, right? Yes. And you'll be viewing the movie. It's called Normal Isn't Real. This event is going to be November 19th at 7 p.m. We're gonna have it via Zoom. You'll have the film available for a week prior to November 19th, and we're gonna have a discussion with the filmmaker. We're also going to be joined by Neil Hagan, who's our Director of Wellness, and Lizzie Rosen, who's the Director of Skills and Academic Support. So I mean, I've been hearing about this movie for a really long time, and so I'm really, really excited, and I hope you guys will be too. Later in the year, on April 17th, we're going to be joined by Judy Riley, who's the Director of the Center for Neurodiversity and Employment Innovation from the Worth Center at UConn. And I've heard her speak before, and I mean, I learned just so much from her. So, you'll hear way more about that down the road, but definitely if you put that on your schedule now, so well worth the time. And real quick, lastly, I hope you'll join us for our next PGA meeting. We're going to have it on Thursday, October 26th, 7 p.m. via Zoom. And that is it. And again, thank you so much for joining us.
Great. Thank you, Stephanie. One of the things that was mentioned, the power of the yard signs and getting the good word out, right? You are all wonderful ambassadors of the school. We do find year after year that in terms of marketing, the word of mouth marketing is really, really important for small schools like us. So when you're thinking about your own social circles and you're thinking about families and other potential students, spread the good word, right? So we have 2 open houses that are coming up. Most of you probably attended an open house as part of your journey to find us. Those are coming up on Sunday, October 20th and Sunday, November 3rd. So great opportunities to encourage families that might have interest in CHCH to attend those open houses, and they can go to the website and register for those ahead of time. All right, what I want to do is open this up to a little popcorn exercise, which means I'm just going to allow my admin team, whoever feels the moment to speak one after another. It's probably about just 2 minutes apiece. Looking at the time, just introduce yourself, your role, responsibilities, and 1 or 2 kind of exciting programs, things that you're working on right now that would be helpful to everybody. I will open it up then and just allow any senior team member to jump in and start.
I can kick us off. Good morning, everyone. My name is Gwen Pajasic, and I'm the CFO here at Chapel Hill, but I also oversee capital projects and lots of other pieces, anything non-academic. And so one of the things that we're working on that you may have noticed when you come on campus is the Atwood project. And one of the things that I think is super exciting that we have not really talked about much yet is this will be our first non-fossil fuel reliant building on campus. So it will be solar powered, and it's a really exciting landscape design also that really takes care of the waterfront in this area. At certain parts throughout our campus, the water is considered a river. So we're going to have some beautiful, sustainable rain gardens, which will help protect what goes into the riverfront. We spend a lot of time stewarding the waterway throughout our campus. And I think it's going to be a really exciting way for kids to understand the way we need to take care of our surroundings. So lots of learning opportunities that we can incorporate into our curriculum coming from this area of development on campus. We're also going to have a beautiful pollinator garden coming in there, thinking about how we take care of also the living things that are on our campus that we value so much. One of the sort of unrelated, but an update I wanted to share that last year there was a pretty strong voice coming from the PGA about adding composting to our dining hall. And I just wanted to share that has been super successful. And last year we composted 12,045 pounds. And that goes into a commercial composting site in Boston. And then we are able to get loan back from them to use on campus. So that's been super successful. So I encourage you to always share your ideas and how that can change our footprint on the world. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Gwen. Yeah, so the new Atwood construction, like the site work is done. We're just getting ready to kind of pour the foundation and start framing it. And our hope is that it will be ready to be opened at some point in the spring, the late spring. But it's an ambiguous time frame. You have to maintain that whenever you're doing a building project, for those that have ever done building projects. So we'll see where we are with the timeline in a few months, but we are excited that this is going to be opened at some point in the late part of the academic year, and that our students and faculty will be able to get the most out of it. All right, next.
Hey, Lance, I'll go next. Hi, everybody. I'm Josh Bubar. I'm the assistant head of school here. That essentially means that any piece of a student's experience in the upper school, grades 9 through 12, is really under my umbrella. And there's a couple of pieces. A number of my colleagues are going to talk about some other things. A couple of pieces I'm really excited about right now. One is as we have really reinvigorated our boarding program, things are really exciting here on campus, both in the evening when the boarding students are here, but I think just even during the day when our entire student body is here. And we've got a lot going on. So, for example, we're sending 38 students tonight to the MFA's Latinx Heritage Night, and that's a mix of boarding and day students. And so for those of you, and I know most of the parents on this call are probably day parents, I would really encourage you to have your students participate in some of the on-campus activities that we have going on. It's a really rich set of things on any given weekend, and we'd love to have your child back here on campus. And you can take a look at the newsletter and find that list of activities, I think, every week. And then the other piece that's going on for us is I'm beginning to receive from the faculty spring session proposals. For those of you that are new to us, spring session, we essentially run mini courses in the last week of the year, the week of Memorial Day here. And so we're beginning to receive proposals from the faculty. We've got some really exciting things going on. One of our faculty members is going to propose a trip to the Grand Tetons and Yellowstone. We're also going to have the bringing back of a proposal that we actually couldn't run in 2020 because of the pandemic with a trip to Spain. You'll see that in the newsletter. We're kind of trying to get some early signups, early interest in that. But lots of really interesting things to do both on campus and off campus with spring session. So that's a couple of things that I'm excited about that are going on right now.
Great. Thank you, Josh.
I'll jump in now. Sorry.
You go first.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Kelly Walsh. I'm the head of middle school. I'm also just about to put on my administrator on duty hat for this weekend because I live on campus. So start with a follow-up to Josh. I would also strongly encourage day students to come back and join us. And this weekend, we also have our grade level outings. So everyone will be participating and has something to offer. We have something to offer for everyone. I'm going to drop in the chat the administrator on duty number because it's really great for day parents to just check in with the administrator on duty if their student is coming to an event in case there's been a change here on campus due to the weather or student interest. Administrators on duty, there are 5 of us. We love to hear from you and help keep things rolling. And I just see the question in the, day students are welcome to all events. We just ask them to be headed home by 10 p.m. on weekend nights, which is when we ask students to be in the dorms. But all events are open to day students. And then on the middle school side of things, we're off to a great start. It's fantastic to have both 7th and 8th grade in the building this year. And our wonderful team, Tim Seston, Mary Alice Kuhn, and our arts fellow, Erin Feria. And we're having just a blast. We've got some field trips lined up in the next couple of weeks. I'm also working closely with admissions, and Catherine Saunders, Director of Enrollment Management, is traveling right now. And so I've been helping her out. I was at a fair last night, going to be doing some other school visits. So like Lance said, you are our best ambassadors, and please spread the good word about both middle school and upper school. The more families who can learn about us and come visit, the better off, because we have such a wonderful community to share. And we're looking forward to a very busy admission season. Thank you.
Leslie?
Okay, I guess I'll jump in. I'm Leslie Jacobson Kay. I'm the Chief Advancement Officer. I'm in year 9 here at Chapel Hill Chauncey Hall. One of the things that the Advancement Office does, well, the main things we do is really it's engagement, it's events, it's fundraising for things like the annual fund, which you'll hear about throughout the year, and different projects. The building project right now, Atwood project, which is the north, I'm not great with geography, the northeast side of campus. We raised money for that too. But I think the main thing is that we really work with all of our constituents, whether it's you parents, the grandparents, the students, our alums, the different groups, to make sure that you feel part of the community. And one of the things I want to just re-emphasize, Stephanie did such a great job of talking about the gala, and I don't think I need to actually take 5 minutes later to talk about it, but just to say that the job of Kate and Walker and Rebecca and myself is to bring you together and to introduce you to each other. When I was a new parent here, I really appreciated that, getting to know other parents. We do that, whether we try to do it here. Lance does a great job of that. And I think in the room, if someone's standing by themselves, if we know people don't know, we love to get to know you, but we really want you to know each other and be there as a support to each other. So we really encourage you to come to events like this. And the November 1st one is going to be great. The other thing I just wanted to point out, we have a Facebook group, a parent Facebook group, and Kate primarily facilitates that. Really encourage you to join that. It also has parents of alums on there like myself who like to stay on and hear what's happening. It is a private group, so the information that's on there really is curated for you. And I know Kate is really working to build and create more information for you on there. So it's another place for you to engage. So know that we're really trying to continue to do that, to build community among all of you. And just one favorite thing that we do every year, I just want to quickly share, is we have a table every year, our team out front of Harrington. We entice students to come over because we have the cookies there, of course. But we really try to educate them about fundraising, and that we will support them and train them to support other nonprofits. So if they have a pet nonprofit, we want to educate them so that they know how to support other organizations, and of course us as well. But we think that's a really important part of our work, and we love getting to know all of your kids. So thanks so much.
Thanks, Leslie. And will you and Kate and like the PGA be sponsoring like little tent cookie drink setup during conferences again this year?
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. Absolutely.
And that's a perfect segue over to Stephanie to talk a little bit more about parent-teacher conferences that are just around the corner.
Hi, morning. Stephanie Daniels. I work in the head's office here at school. So all parents and guardians have received 2 communications from me about conference signups, one on September 17th and then one on September 23rd. And that details the conference software system and the instructions on how to access the scheduling software. The scheduling software will open up to everybody at 10 a.m. on Monday, September 30th, and it'll be open for a block of 10 days. And this will allow you to schedule meetings for October 15th with your child's teachers. Some faculty members have over 55 students that they teach. So we are requesting that you only schedule with your child's teachers. And if you need additional meetings with your child's advisor or a coach, a dorm parent, or a class dean that you schedule that meeting and arrange for an alternate meeting date or time. If October 15th doesn't work with your work schedule, just email me directly and I will help arrange alternate meeting dates and times for you with your child's teachers. And if there's any glitches when the software system opens up for you next week on Monday, please email me. I will be at my computer all day. I know things pop up every once in a while. Last year, for some reason, the entire system shut down right away. So if anything goes wrong, please email me, but I will be ready to handle anything that comes up on Monday as things open up for you guys. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
All right, I can jump in, Lance. Hi, Director of Marketing Communication, Matt Soul here. We've been really busy in our office just setting up for the beginning of the year. So that's included everything from setting up our emergency text messaging system so we can communicate with everyone in the community quickly. We've been setting up the MyCHCH profiles, so students, teachers, parents, guardians, everyone can log in and see everything that they need to see. We have been printing student IDs for everyone, making sure everybody's up to date. And the Thursday newsletter has been going. So if there's any questions in those areas, if anyone hasn't been getting anything, the newsletter, or has a change that they need to make on a MyCHH profile, make sure to reach out to me for that. And another thing I would say, we mentioned the Facebook page. We've been really busy going around photographing, video, capturing all the things going on campus, and that is shared through social media. So seek out our, Instagram, Facebook page, LinkedIn too. But also on the MyCHH newsfeed, when you log in, you'll see some updates there. And a Flickr page, which I wanted to highlight. If you go to the homepage on our website, along with our social media accounts right on top, there's an icon with 2 dots there, and that's Flickr. And that is our place where we put bigger albums of photos. So there might be a few highlights here and there in social media, but when the senior class goes whitewater rafting, we'll unload all the photos into albums there. So that's a good one to go and bookmark and have there. And that's where those photos will live. So thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Matt. And some parents have started to use the chat feature to ask questions along the way. Perfectly acceptable and fine. I'll ask my team to answer those as they pop up. There will be a little bit of Q&A time too at the end of this. Who wants to go next?
I can jump in. At the risk of following Matt, who the students often confuse for me and vice versa. I'm Ben Riggs, Director of 11th and 12th grade programs, which means I work with your 11th and 12th graders, those of you who have juniors and seniors in the community, on both the academic side of their experience as well as their social emotional side. And I wanted to talk a little bit about academic communication and progress notes, just to make sure that I clarified as best I could, and you can certainly ask follow-up questions in the chat, and afterward, happy to answer. But in short, there are academic updates for all students weekly that are published on Tuesdays for students and teachers and advisors, and on Wednesday for parents. And that gives students an opportunity to connect with their advisors in their Tuesday afternoon advisory session, take a look at progress notes, make academic plans as necessary, and then parents to receive those on Wednesday so they can have any follow-up conversations with their students. You will see if you log into MyCHCH, which you may have heard your student talking about Mitch. I don't know of any person named Mitch on campus currently, but that is kind of shorthand for MyCHCH. And when you log in, you're going to see your student's picture and name at the top left-hand corner. If you click on that, you will then be brought to a page that has a performance tab with something called report cards, and progress notes are all listed there. I'll highlight that this week's progress note was called Fall Progress Note 2. Next week's will be called Fall Progress Note 3, and so on. So just to avoid any confusion about kind of what you're looking for. And every other week, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders receive notes if they are missing work. So this week, Fall Progress Note 2 was for missing work for 10th through 12th graders. 9th graders will receive regular academic updates each week, but for 10th through 12th graders, that alternates weeks, and in the off weeks, you get a list of missing assignments. And that's something that advisors and SAS teachers can go right to and make kind of quick plans on how to deal with that if necessary. Lastly, I'll just say that if you have questions about progress notes or are looking for academic updates, a good first point of contact is your child's advisor. And I know Sarah wants to talk a little bit about our advisory program.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Sarah Masucci. I am the director of 9th and 10th grade. So all the things Ben talked about doing for the juniors and seniors, I do with our 9th and 10th graders. And I just wanted to give people a little bit of an update about advisory. Advisory is one of the many spaces we create for students to be able to build connections with their peers, but also to build connections with other adults. Typically, these are groups of 4 or 5 students and a member of the faculty or staff, and they meet weekly on Tuesdays. At this point, you've probably received a welcome email from your child's advisor. And this person, as Ben noted, is really kind of your starting point. If you have questions, they are checking in on progress notes week to week with students, but also checking in about how co-curriculars are going, giving reminders about upcoming student life events. We recently started talking about winter co-curriculars, and I'm a 9th grade advisor. So there are a lot of questions about what is podcast? How does that work? And so advisory is a space where students are kind of getting a chance to ask those questions and also can have that one-on-one time if they have something that they want to talk about. So please take advantage of advisors as someone who's ready to offer support to your child, but also to you if you have questions, and they can always direct you to the right person if what you're asking about is something specific that someone else might answer more directly. And as the year progresses, this is where conversations will happen between students and advisors about, getting ready for end of term assignments and thinking about things they might want to do for spring session and all of those different pieces. So this is just one of the many places where we help kind of build those relationships and hopefully create another person who your student will feel comfortable going to with questions.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Ben. We got Nikki, Neil.
I'll go first. Hi, I'm Nikki Turpin. I'm the Director of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion here at CHCH. I just want to give you a little update about some events that we will hopefully be having very soon. Kate and I are going to be chatting a little bit about the date, so make sure you look in the newsletter. We are going to offer a short 1-hour Zoom chat around our summer reading, She, He, They. So I'm hoping that you were able to engage with reading the book with your student, and if not, you have a little bit of time to go skim through it. It's definitely one where you can pick some chapters and engage with that way and just come with that chapter to talk about. So we're going to offer a Zoom this fall for you to come in and chat a little bit about what you found interesting with the book. What did you learn from the book? What did you already know and was completely solidified by hearing Skylar Baylor talk about it? If you don't have time to read the book, you can also check out one of the videos that we sent out earlier in the year to let people know about our summer reading. It's just interviews with Skylar Baylor and really kind of stays on the same topic. So you'll still be able to engage in the conversation and hopefully learn some new things that you might not have known about. We also have our Chargie's Closet back open. So while Janet has Chargie's like little nest of goodies, we have over here in the cottage Chargie's little nest of amazing textile, clothing, shoes, outerwear for students to basically treat as their own thrift store. The only caveat is there's no money to exchange. Come in, grab something that you really like. You want to redesign it. You want to put some new holes in it because the 90s are back in case you didn't know. So everyone's ripping everything. But it's a great way for you as parents to donate some clothing that you know they're never going to wear again. Or maybe an outfit that you have that you're like, I love this, but maybe I will give it to the youth and see it kind of be recycled into something new or just worn exactly how you wore it. So you can drop off any items that you have here at the cottage or at the barn. There'll be a small Rubbermaid white clear tote for you to drop those items into, and then they will come here and not hit the landfill and impact our community and our global community in a negative way, and hopefully get redesigned to something really awesome. We also have some amazing student life events coming up that your students will be engaging with. We have an Indigenous speaker coming for Indigenous Day, not specifically on the day, but during that week. And then we also have an upcoming, hopefully Armenian speaker to talk about Armenian Holocaust Day and discuss that with our community as well, and as well as some other sprinkling. So make sure you check the newsletter out. It'll let you know when those events are happening, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Great. Thank you, Nikki. All right, and our final presenter, Neil Hagan, very strategic, Neil, to wait to the end because Neil has a little bit more to tell you about in terms of health and wellness programming this year, which we're going to do as a separate piece. But now, Neil, you just have more time, and then we'll go to Q&A after that. So think about what some of your questions might be for any member of the senior team, and we'll get to those after Neil.
Thank you, Lance. Thanks, everyone, for letting me go last here. My name's Neil Hagan. I am our Director of Counseling and Wellness. This is my third year at CHCH, though I had about 5 years prior to that on our camp staff. I'm a member of the senior team and advisor for 12th graders, and I'm an assistant coach on our cross-country team. I love both of those roles very much. I'm going to try and condense a whole bunch of programmatic updates from our counseling and wellness department into about 5 minutes. And then if you have questions, please ask them afterwards. I'd be happy to go into more depth. We have 3 full-time counselors on staff, myself, Miss Brittany, and Miss Berkowitz, 2 social workers, and I'm an LMHC. And this year, we have also added 2 counseling interns, both second-year graduate students from Boston College. Each of them are here 3 days a week for the length of the year. So really, we have 5 counselors on staff for a school of 210 plus or minus students. That is a phenomenal ratio. It allows us to do some really meaningful work with your students. Part of that is that we make sure to meet every new student to the school to have a one-to-one intro meeting with a counselor. One of the 5 of us, sometimes 2 of us at a time, are meeting with students. Including our 8th graders from last year who are now 9th graders, that gives us 90 new students to meet with. As of yesterday, we had completed 70 of those. Some of those are really quick. Some of your students really don't want to talk to us. They're quick meetings, maybe 10 minutes. Others are more like 30, 40 minutes, and they engage with us quickly. They trust us, and they're signing up to meet us again the following week. As I say to students in those meetings, some students talk to me for 20 minutes and then never look at me for 4 years. Other students see me weekly at the start of the year. Either one is fine. The main thing is we want to make sure your students know that they have this resource. So if something comes up, they know where one of their options for where they can go. I'm going to pivot now to our wellness work. So at CHCH, wellness is the education proactive approach to counseling. So we have our amazing counseling team to do reactive work and support your students. We also want to teach them some skills ahead of time. So what that looks like is every grade gets 6 or 7 45-minute lessons, and we chunk them throughout the year. So we start the year with our 11th graders. We just finished their 3rd lesson yesterday. I was scanning the folks on this call, and a number of you, our 11th graders, have my wellness class. This year, we've shifted a little bit strategically to make wellness be an elective-based program. That doesn't mean they can opt out. It means they have choice between different categories of things they might be interested in wellness. Believe it or not, it's a really tough sell on a Wednesday afternoon to get teenagers to be interested in adults telling them how they can be healthier. So giving them a little bit of choice has gone a long way. For example, right now, their options were fueling yourself. So a series of lessons on nutrition and exercise. The one I'm running is we're beta testing an emotional assessment tool. It's called Agile Brain. If you're interested in it, I can talk your ear off about it, but we are the only high school in the country to have access to this tool. A team of scientists over 5+ years created this really interesting tool where in the span of 2 minutes, just clicking on pictures, you get a robust emotional profile. I'm exposing this to our 11th graders who are interested in that. We're trying it out in class, and I'm letting them know, hey, if you're interested in this, come by the counseling office. You can try it out for yourself, and we'll coach you through it. Other electives that will come throughout the year are financial literacy, substance use, things like that. After 11th grade, we'll have a similar series with our 12th, and then our 9th graders will join us in the new year. And they don't get a choice. We're not using an elective-based model with them. We feel really strongly that we want to equip our students with stronger skill set to manage their cell phones and social media and technology. So we have partnered with an organization called the Social Institute, who's been around for a while. They are partnered with a whole bunch of schools across the country and probably the world. They have a bank of lesson plans designed exactly for that. And that's going to be our most effective way of helping our ninth graders build that skill set. Kelly is also doing that same work with our 7th and 8th graders. So we have a nice through line in wellness work from 7th to 9th grade, at which point they sort of graduate to an elective-based model. They give them a little more choice. In less than a month, we will be starting our sexual health education. We have learned that that wellness programming is best delivered by someone who doesn't work on campus. Our students have a much easier time listening, engaging, asking questions when the person telling them or talking to them about sex and intimacy and boundaries and consent isn't their advisor or their teacher or their counselor. So Nia Torres of Educa Health will come in October and November and teach a series of 5 lessons to every 9th and 11th graders. She comes here, our hope, our intent, assuming we can keep getting her back every year. She'll be here every year, keep working with our 9th and 11th graders. And the content sort of levels up between 9th and 11th. In the newsletter today, there will be a couple of links about that. Typically, we get a lot of questions from folks about, like, what are you actually teaching my students in that class? Nia does a parent webinar. We've had a hard time getting great participation. I would love it if many of you would please attend, especially if you have any curiosities about what that sex health class looks like. On October 16th, she'll host a webinar starting at 6 o'clock. The link will be in the newsletter. Join. She'll walk you through what the curriculum's like and answer any questions you have.
Neil, can I just jump in for a second to put in a plug for Ashley Jones? So Ashley Jones, our lead school nurse, also does a number of lessons over the course of the year with our middle schoolers about sexuality, about intimacy, about consent. And Ashley is distanced enough from them in their daily lives, and she's a wonderful presenter on this topic for our middle school students. So they are also being exposed and doing some learning, even though they tell me they know everything.
Thank you, Kelly. Ashley is amazing at that, and she does. She's got that secret in where it works. It hasn't worked when I've tried to deliver this content, but Ashley does it well. Last but not least, we are continuing, as we did the past couple of years, to offer a BIPOC student support group. Our 3 full-time counselors, we're all white clinicians. We have many students of color at our school, and we want to make sure that they also have a space where they can feel safe and heard and comfortable. And sometimes it's not with a white clinician. So what we offer is a quarterly in-person meeting where a clinician of color comes onto campus, same person who was with us last year, and hosts a student support group. Last year, the group that was most well attended and well received was the one that had food. So we're sticking with that. That meeting has food. It's in the evenings. The group is open to all students, day or boarding, middle school or upper school, so long as the student identifies as BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, person of color. Nikki has been instrumental in helping advertise this, get it together in the first place. We're really excited to continue that. That first group will meet Tuesday of next week in the evening. If your student is a day student and might want to attend, maybe plan to have them stick around. Again, more details in the newsletter. I may have gone over my 5 minutes, but I'm gonna pause there.
Well worth it, Neil. Well worth it. Thank you so much. One of the things that we certainly discovered last year at our fall gala, we really focused on health and wellness as a theme for that event, and the parent response to it was overwhelming, absolutely overwhelming. One of the things that we have certainly identified over the last several years coming through and out of the pandemic is the amount of support that our students need from us as parents, from us as school leaders, and certainly in the health and wellness space and our counseling team. So, many of you have experienced the CHCH with all the right supports and investments in place. But I will say you can go back to just 6 or 7 years ago when we only had one counselor on staff and one school nurse on staff. We now have 2 full-time nurses, and as Neil mentioned, really a counseling team of 5. And the interns that we have from BC are both interns, counselors of color as well. So we have that support piece. The Board of Trustees is fully behind me and my leadership team in terms of investing what is needed, how it's needed, and when it's needed to support our kids in this space. In fact, this afternoon, we'll have a meeting, our Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Wellness Committee, which is a standing board committee of the Board of Trustees, is meeting this afternoon to learn a lot about what Neil and Nikki were explaining earlier about our programming this year, and talk about strategy and how the board can continue to support us. You will note that there is a similar theme to this year's Fall Gala on Friday, November 1st. Mind, body, and school spirit. It is important, and certainly as a parent of teenagers myself, there's nothing that I will not stop investing in than in the health and happiness of my own kids, and we really look forward to you joining us for that wonderful evening. With that, there are 9 minutes remaining for an open Q&A. You can either use the chat to continue to ask some questions, or certainly right now, just through the Zoom call, you can ask any questions that you might have of any member of the team.
Lance, I'm just going to answer a great question that was put in there. Thank you for asking about video game overuse. That's such a great question. And I suspect there are lessons that would be from the Social Institute addressing that very thing. And I love that you've asked the question, because from town halls like this or where some of the topic ideas have come from for our elective-based model. So if you have ideas, if you have things that are coming up at home or your student, that they could use some support with, please don't hesitate to reach out. I think last year on this very call, some parents and guardians were acknowledging that their students were particularly burdened by climate change and what the future looks like, and how are we supporting our students with navigating an evolving, often chaotic world. And so Brittany Browning offers an elective in wellness on current events and how they impact our well-being and how we can navigate them.
Yeah, just related to that too, Neil. One of the things that you will all go through, many of you have done this before, is the reflective exercise at the end of the school year of our parent satisfaction survey. We take time as a senior administrative team with a couple of our trustees over the summer to really dig into that qualitative and quantitative data, and then figure out what are the major recommendations and commendations coming out of that SWOT analysis. And then what does that mean for action plans for the year ahead, right? We are getting ready to next Tuesday night at our first board meeting of the year, where we have put together a really nice deck for the board to see. Josh is going to be walking them through a series of action plans that we have to address some of the concerns and suggestions and hopes and dreams that the parents and guardians relayed to us in that one instrument that happened way back in late April and May. But that's often a reflective, reactive tool. What I encourage, what Neil just said, the 3 town meetings during the year, this is a great opportunity for you to raise concerns on the go. Why wait until the end of the year? And this is for me to ask, I want to know when there are things bubbling up earlier, please reach out to us and let us know if you've got concerns or ideas that can help us be a better school. I don't want to wait 9 months to then, let's start processing that. If we can do some action research on the fly and think about what some of your areas of concern are, or challenges or opportunities for our school growth, I want to address them sooner rather than later. So these opportunities for town halls, moments to talk to this team here at, for instance, the Fall Gala, great opportunity to interact with school leadership team. And certainly at any point you can reach out to us with an email or a phone call. All right, so there are a couple of questions in the chat. Anybody want to tackle those?
I'll tackle community service because I'm about to advertise something this afternoon. Community service for upper school. there's a requirement of 15 hours per year, and that includes any work that a student does over the summer. Usually we count the summer before the year as part of, so ninth graders could count anything they did between 8th and 9th grade into their 9th grade hours. We are advertising events weekly. We have the Special Olympics. We're hosting Special Olympics on campus for the next 8 weeks on Sundays. I'm going to advertise a trip next Thursday for a small group of students who are available and not celebrating Rosh Hashanah to go to Food Link, an organization in Arlington, to do an hour and a half of work there. And there are a plethora of opportunities, and class deans do a lot of that management and teach the students how to log their hours on our system called Track It Forward. And it is very much, I'd like to stress that we really put this burden on the students. We know that parents want to be involved, but it's really important for the students to take ownership of this, and their advisors and class deans will help them manage that.
Nice. Thank you. Let's see, Josh, do you maybe want to, I see that Brett Ryan question about non-competitive athletics.
Yeah, so we do offer a handful of things in the co-curricular program. So our rock climbing elective is incorporates rock climbing, high ropes work, some hiking during those sessions, and we run that in the fall and in the spring. And then we run a fitness elective in the fall, and then we actually run double sessions in the winter. So there'll be an early and a later session for that as part of our co-curricular program. We have run, for example, yoga in the past. What we found is that 5 days a week of yoga is a little challenging. So actually, Stephanie Daniels, who's running our fitness elective here in the fall, has been incorporating yoga. My office is right next to the fitness center, and I was pleased to hear the dulcet tones of a yogi just the other day as the students were all kind of engaged in that practice. So we are doing that work for sure.
Great. Thank you, Josh. Yeah, a couple of very kind comments from Tom and Kara. Thank you very much. Amy's got a good question about a parent caregiver family directory. I will say that, like, I use Mitch, my CHCH, as a way to, like, all right, learn about kids and families. And there's a lot of information in Mitch, but it is like a student management system, an SMS database. So it's not as maybe intuitive to use. Do any of my colleagues want to address this?
I can just see, parents should have access to, and let me know if they're not seeing it, but when they go in there to my CHCH, they should see directory, and under directory, they should be able to see a parent guardian directory and be able to see information in there. And then also, I know admissions does keep a carpool list by town. So if anybody's looking for that directly, I know that they work with that earlier, but that's another way that we have that. But you should see that on my CHCH as well. And if that's not showing up for you, please let me know.
Yeah, great question, Amy. Other questions? Wow, the opportunity to give everybody 2 minutes back in their busy lives. Let me take that time to just say then, thank you for being part of the community. Thank you for engaging with us here today. Continue to engage in every way that you can, when you can. It's really important that we build community and that our kids see us building community. I can't tell you how that important is. Our kids are very perceptive. They know when you're engaged with their lives. And even if it's like passive engagement because you're on a town hall meeting, they know you're here and they know you care. So it's really important that they see that interactivity and interconnectedness with the school. I know it's hard to build community when you're pulling, for instance, families from 40 different communities into CHCH. It's a challenge sometimes. But if everybody leans into it, it makes all of our lives a little bit easier and better in terms of supporting our kids. And that, of course, is the number one job for all of us, is the health and happiness of our students. So I want to thank you all for being here. And until next time, take care. Have a great day.